Hey everyone, Glenn Sanford here, founder of eXp Realty and obviously the Expansion Podcast. And today I'm actually honored to have a conversation with somebody who is all about positivity and attitude. And he is a five-time icon out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Glenn Bill, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you for having me on. But more importantly, thank you for taking the time to bring the stories of eXp to our agents. I just don't know of another founder and owner that takes the time to talk to the average agent or even the icon agents that come. So it's just a great sign of who you are to engage with your family of agents. So I think it's so cool that you're doing this, and thanks for having me.
Oh, no, thank you again for jumping on. And, Glenn, you've come from a pretty interesting background. Obviously you've been in the industry for a number of years, but you've also been, I think, been involved in running a very successful coaching business for I think real estate professionals or professionals in general. But maybe just share a little bit about your background. What ultimately was your journey? How did you ultimately get into real estate, and what made you choose eXp?
Sure. I'll try to keep that one short, but I was a Division I football player playing at Ball State University. And as fate would have it, I started a family very young. I was 18 years old. And as I looked around and said, I have a child coming, although college football was awesome, I just felt like the thing to do would be to take care of my new family. And I do have to say, I told your people, literally right now, Glenn, right now, my son and daughter-in-law are pushing my sixth grandkid out in a hospital as we speak right now, which is kind of unbelievable. So I'll never forget the day that me and you did this podcast. Yeah, it's just crazy. I can't believe it. But so I started leasing apartments for a gentleman, Carl Van Roy, who's a big multifamily developer here in Indianapolis. When I was 19, I developed a program called 3 months of free groceries for rent. His occupancy was at 76%. I got him to 98% with the free grocery program. The program was, I just simply went to a local grocer and I said, I need $300 worth of free groceries to hand to tenants moving in. I went to Carl Van Roy. I said, Carl, for every new apartment that I rent, I need $200 in commission, and I'll get the $300 for free from the grocer. And I don't know, I ended up leasing, I think, 20 units in 1 month, and I made $4,000. And he said, I can't even believe this guy. He said, you know what, you ought to think about real estate. So I got my license at 18 and got hired at a Century 21 office at 19. And I've been in the business 37 years. I became the #1 listing and sales agent before I even was legal to drink a beer there. We had 75 agents. They were convinced because I'm from a large Catholic family, that's the only reason that I was successful. But I was successful very simply because of this. They used to have cassette tapes of Tom Hopkins, and I worked third shift in a bindery, and I would listen to Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling and Listing Real Estate, as I swept floors and did awful work in the bindery. And I became a master of selling real estate through a cassette tape to an old Walkman. And I crushed it. I went out and listed property. I did exactly every single word he told me to do, along with other masters. And at 23, I ended up purchasing my own Century 21 franchise after 3 years of production. And we took I think it was an 8-person office, 600 in commission to 170 agents, 3 offices, 10 million in revenue over the next 17 years. And then I sold everything when I turned 40. That math works out. And then I stayed on with Century 21 for another 10 years and developed my source of sales real estate training system, which was great. And I trained a lot of Century 21 agents. I trained agents all over the country. And, I was revenuing about $1 million in commission a year. I was, between 800 and 1.2 million. And I kept seeing that 6% go away, 60 grand, 60 grand, 60 grand. And I was paying my broker $100,000 a year. And as somebody at that point who was putting 3 kids through college, I said, this doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think the valuation of Realogy had gone down substantially. I'm not sure that even though I did my stuff, I'm not sure that the stockholder, I just am like, these people don't know who I am anymore or whatever. And I was recruited by Keller, Remax, Compass. They all came after me, and I said that there's got to be a better way. And I sat down with my brokers because, of course, the 10 years after they bought me, I brought in 50 agents for them probably, and I got a bat and a water bottle and a shirt and a backpack. I think it was awesome, and so I said I sat down with Mick Sheets and Tracy Hutton. I love them to this day. They're great people, and they run one of the most successful Century 21s there is. And I said, there's only one way to solve recruiting and retention. I said, you need to sell this company to every agent that is at our company right now. We need to do a SEP, or not a SEP, what do you call it when the
SWOT analysis?
No, not a SWOT. It's when your agents buy your company, or is actually when the employee.
Okay, yeah. So some sort of ESOP.
An ESOP. I said we need to do an ESOP. We can raise your value. You're never going to have to worry about recruiting and retention again. And as I was at a Les Brown How to Speak event, this crazy man, Chris Bear, and I met. And I always, after examining every single platform in real estate, it was clear to me, EXP with agent-owned brokerage, created by agents, for agents. I completely believe that your staff is agent-obsessed. I hope you don't water that down, and I hope that's always how you lead. I just had another an agent-obsessed experience with my broker and in our support, on a closing. Agent obsessed. I mean, problem was identified, problem was handled, and we moved on. But we are clearly the best platform for the entrepreneurial agent for many reasons, as I'm sure you know. But it's the people, right? I mean, I came because of Chris Bear. Chris Bear stayed on me for 18 months. Gene Frederick got on a call with me and people from Berkshire Hathaway. It was kind of down to those two, and just, took it and did it. And then I got to meet Cliff Freeman, and then I got to meet Brent Gove. And then, I got to study you and see what you did and how, and your story, through KW. And so, why did I choose EXP? Certainly it's the best platform, but certainly it's the best people. And that's why I did it. And so, the money's great. I left 5 years ago, and I have huddled away the 50,000 of the 100,000 I was giving to the Century 21 brokers and system. And, now I got a savings account of $250,000 that I would have never had. And that's real money. And with the other 250, I was able to, fund my other businesses, my speaking business. And it's just been such a blessing, this platform. And it's the entrepreneurialism that I think that is available. I'm doing more commercial now than I ever have. I'm actually probably doing more commercial than resident. I do a lot. I would be surprised if I'm not the number one commercial broker in Indiana. Unfortunately, because of NAR, I can't be a part of EXP commercial because I got a money machine. We can talk about that off, but it kills me and it pains me that I can't be a part of our commercial program, because ultimately I think the residential agent for the right people is a value play. And the fact that I can't, work both because I believe it's the NAR rule, it kills me. But what we're doing commercial.
So NAR passed the rule, because we do obviously have resi-commercial agents in EXP
Yeah.
Realty, and then pure commercial agents in commercial.
Yeah, that is correct. But I can't really leverage, and I can't promote myself as I'm a leader in our marketplace, and I want to be a leader for EX. But the only option I have is to, which I probably will do. But it's we can talk about that off. I am so excited about EXP commercial, I can't stand it. And we need to figure out how our agents, the ones that are hitters, that are really doing the big deals, and that can bring on commercial agents, can actually function in both. It seems like a restraint of trade to me, but that's a whole different thing. Our commercial division rocks, and it's awesome. And I tell you what else rocks and is awesome that we've brought into. My son, who's having a baby right now, quit his job at the bank, $90,000 a year salary, and has joined ComLoan with me. And we're doing great things, and we're working big loans with ComLoan, which I'm sure you're aware of, and I believe you had a good hand in. So this is the entrepreneurial setting, man. This is where you need to be. EXP has so many opportunities in so many different areas to grow people that if you're listening to this podcast, you're in the right place, and you can always reach out to me, and I'll help you through your journey of becoming fantastic with this great company.
Awesome. So, no, thank you for that background. And now, you mentioned obviously some stuff with the commercial side. You've got things going on there. Where do you spend? Like, you're an ICON agent. You've obviously been a top agent. Actually, go back to the Tom Hopkins piece. Just saw Tom 3 weeks ago, so I spent a little bit of time with Tom. And you may not know this. I think you actually do, because we actually own the worldwide perpetual rights to all of his content. Is How to Master the Art of Selling Real Estate, the book, the coursework, all of the materials, and it's actually being built right now into an AI that you can actually have a conversation with Digital Tom. So just a little preview that
awesome.
You can, and I'm actually going to show it to Tom here, to Real Tom, to just get his sort of stamp of approval, blessing on it. But it's pretty cool. It will walk you through a ton of the closes and techniques, and then you can even do fun things like you can actually upload photos, a number of photos of a property, and it will actually build you listing descriptions based on how Tom would market it in today's market using today's technology. So it's pretty cool what we're building in the background.
I attended 23 Tom Hopkins seminars in Indianapolis, and I was able to have dinner with Tom, when I was, 30, and I wrote down 120 questions to ask him during dinner, which I did. He was gracious enough, and I got to take him to the airport, and he's become a friend, and I just love him, and I love his stuff. And as we talk about lead gen and my philosophy on how to help the agents listening build their business, I'll talk a little bit about that. But
yeah, please do.
I don't know. Well, one of the questions, if you want me to just jump into it, it said, how do you handle leads, I think, or what's your CRM and how do you handle your leads? And I put on my
that's one. Yeah, how do you manage lead generation? It's kind of a stock question, because at the end of the day, we are all we're talking about sales on the back end, scripts and dialogues, and how do you guide people through a journey, and how do you treat it as an investment, and all the various things. But at another level, without leads, there's nobody to sell to. So the marketing or lead gen side is kind of the first stage of sales.
Yes, and totally agree. But the question was asked, and we were remarking. They said, "I loved your answer." And I said, "They're like, how do you handle leads?" And I said, personally. And like nobody, I ask people that all the time. Nobody says personally. And I'm like, yeah, well, I personally handle leads. And that I think gets into the type of lead that you're attracting to your business. And so I believe, I'm not here to say any one way is better. I think there are 4 types of agents, and I think that question deserves 4 types of different answers. But I know our time's limited. But I have a formula that I created that says AI, artificial intelligence, which is how a lot of people generate leads today, right, minus PC, personal contact, equals what I call artificial relationships. And so people ask me, how did you, at 19 years old, become the #1 broker, buy a brokerage, attract these people, and how did you do business and continue to do business? And for those who are out there listening, there's no one way. The great thing about real estate, there's no one way to do this. But what I found is there's a lot of people that, as sexy and as awesome as AI is, and CRMs and funnels, that their brains just don't market that way, or they can't grasp it. And to be very honest with you, I think I'm one of those people. I sold 238 homes in 1 year without any of that stuff before. And so I want to speak to the people who are barraged and deluged with, let's spend more money on SEO and funnels. I think it's all great. I just can't. I've never been able to grasp it. But I want to encourage them that there's this thing called, real relationships, and becoming what I call a master of the half-mile radius. So I take a lot of our starting agents and I say, before you become world famous and national famous and state famous, let's become famous in a radius that's a half mile around where you live, with your local business people, with your local churches, with your local sports programs. And how can you position yourself to become what we call a quote unquote local celebrity? And then after we master those, and usually it's around, you can get in a half-mile radius, you can easily get, 1,000 doors, 1,000 families. Once you got that, now it's time to go to a 5-mile radius and so on. And so what I found and what I did and what a lot of my students have done with source of sales is a bit old school, but it works for a certain segment of, I'm sure, our 80,000 agents. So I just want to give a word of encouragement. If you're that type of agent, maybe source of sales is something you should check out, because it's heavily Tom Hopkins based. I could tell you that, but it's a different way. Now it's becoming a different way to think about doing things. And if you are technologically savvy, don't stop what you're doing and keep doing it, and sell your 500 homes. But I love this business for the personal contact, and I really love it for the ability to influence a local market and help the families and businesses that live there. And it's an old way, but to me, I've gone in and people said, hey, Guy, we've been getting contacted by 3 and 4 agents, and we signed up for this and signed up for that. Those agents never had a chance. I coached their kid for 10 years or whatever. They're like, we're going to list with you. So just a word of encouragement on that. So maybe a little bit off of really what EXP is all about, I know, but hopefully somebody out there will go, hey, I kind of dig that. That's cool.
Yeah, well, that's the idea, of the podcast, is to give agents advice from different perspectives, because it's kind of like people generally speaking, there are no 2 icons exactly alike, and there's no 2 strategies that are exactly alike. We study, whether you study Tom Hopkins or Zig Ziglar or ninja sales training or Grant Cardone,
right.
It doesn't really matter. You're a mix of strategies and tactics, and you learn from the people who've come before you. And so this is just a great way to get another perspective. So it's as EXP as it gets. Is kind of, I guess, my whole point.
Right. So, yeah. Well, the Ed Milet and the Bill Pipes, and you guys have great people leading our troops. I mean, it's fantastic.
for sure. So, so CRM wise, what CRM are you using, or what, or do you have a favorite?
So let me. So here's what happened. I used the same CRM for 20 years, right? It was called Outstand. Jeffrey Gittimer, a good dear friend of mine, created it, and I loved it, and I got used to it, and it was wonderful. And Outstand went out of business 6 months ago.
So you're in the middle of this whole probably changeover then.
Oh my gosh, it's been awful, to be honest with you. And so we've looked at a numerous of them. I'm going to have to adapt, right? And we have used KV Core, but I think because I have multiple businesses and income streams, Go High Level is where we're going. So
wow, okay.
Yeah, we're using Go High Level, and I'm getting into the monetization thing. But having been in this business for 37 years, I've never felt older. I'm sitting there learning Go High Level, and I have people that do it, but I'm going, oh my gosh, I gotta expand, and I gotta scale, and I gotta do all this stuff. And I make a great living doing things the old way, but I'm enjoying learning the new way and working with fresh young talent to get it going. But yeah, Go High Level is what we're using, and we're working real hard at trying to get that thing going.
Awesome. Well, good stuff on that. So I know we're coming up on the time we have for this recording, but and you've provided so much great advice. You're unique in how you approach the business, and there's obviously multiple ways to do this business. But if somebody said, "Hey, Glenn, I really like your style of building a business or businesses. I love the way that you're an ICON agent and you have all these other irons in the fire. I want to model after you some of what I'm doing." What advice would you give them to sort of start down the path of building a business like you have built over the years?
I don't know I'm sure you may or may not know Alex Montagano, right? Alex Montagano runs Lockstep Realty with EXP. Alex came to me, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago. He was selling me Pacer tickets.
Okay.
And he called me 20 times. And I said, "Alex, how much money did you make selling me Pacer tickets?" He said, "About $278. I went, "Oh my God, Alex." I said, "If you follow up 20 times in the real estate business, you're going to make $12,700 on a sale." So I got him out of the Pacers, and he came to work with me on my team. And he went through our source of sales system and happened to be a baseball player, okay, at Butler University. And I said, "Alex, you're a college baseball player. Now, this could be a theater, somebody that's great in theater, somebody that's active in government, somebody that's active in the church, somebody that is in an entrepreneurial society, somebody that's in Rotary Club, whatever. But everybody has a gift that's awesome." And Alex happened to be a baseball player. I said, "Alex, and you need to go walk into the Zionsville Baseball League and tell them that you would like to become a baseball coach in Zionsville." We did for sale by owners. We did expires. We did all the stuff that the lovely Tom has taught us to do and what SOS teaches us to do. Alex goes in and becomes the coach of a baseball team. Well, Alex also started doing private lessons for half of the kids for $100 an hour. 4 of the people on that baseball team sold $750,000 homes or higher. Those people referred Alex because he gave so much value first that didn't have to do with real estate. They didn't pit him against other real estate agents. Alex's first year in real estate, after being with me, which is what happens, this was my model, closed $276,000 in commissions. After cold calling because I would bring them on, I'm like, "You're going to make so much money, you're going to want to leave me." But that was my gig. That's so I didn't really take on coaches. You would come on my team. We had a model where I made a nice fee because I knew where I would take you. And then I knew you were out the door, and that was okay, right? And he ended up coming to EXP before me, which was really cool. So my answer to your question is give value first. Find what you love doing in your community. Be an absolute bulldog and a leader, and just do more for your community than can ever be done. I always tell people it's better to prospect 1 on 300 than 1 on 1. I still do. I go to the KSC and I do bingo. I'm the bingo caller at the KSC. So I call bingo 10 times a year, 300 people, and they're all what? They all have a charity. So I'm raising money for 10 charities. That puts me in front of 3,000 people. Who do you think they want to talk to about real estate? That's what I would tell you. Find the opportunity in giving to others, whether it's a church, sports organization, political organization. They're all out there. They're right there. And you know the great thing, Glenn? It's free. It costs you nothing to go be a great person. And there's no learning funnels and all that other stuff. Just be a great person and care about people.
So it's another way of taking groceries and creating value at the front end to create a stream of opportunities on the back end that can't be duplicated without, what would you say, how do you manage lead generation personally? So
right.
Lots of great advice here. Loved it, Glenn. Thank you for jumping on. Hope everybody got a lot of value. How would people find you, connect with you, touch bases with you?
Great. You can just go to glennbill.com and find me. If you Google Glenn Bill, that would be great. We'd love you to tune into our podcast, Get Attitude Podcast, 3 times award-winning, national award-winning podcast. We've had our very own Glenn Sanford, Cliff Freeman, Glenn Stearns, Brent Gove on that podcast. All of them are incredibly awesome. So you can find me there. You can also, if you're interested in our Source of Sales program, just type in sourceofsales.com and you'll get to it. And I just, want to give a final word of encouragement. If you're listening to this, you're in the right place. If you're with EXP, you are at the right place. And I hope you give me a call. If you're listening to this and you're not an EXP, call me. I'd love to. Thank you, Glenn.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been a great episode, and look forward to having feedback on these episodes and things that you're hearing. Definitely reach out and let me know personally, because as Glenn says, the best way, and Glenn knows this, the best way to follow up is personally, which is something I take pride in as well. So